Qinghai's body was completely sealed by the white-haired old man and his partner. The Du Qi within his body had even ceased flowing at this moment. He struggled for a while, but he was unable to escape. Finally, his fierce eyes suddenly turned to Xiao Yan and coldly laughed. "If you dare to hurt the old me, it will be equivalent to you becoming enemies with the Hall of Souls. The old me doesn't know just what kind of background you have, but offending the Hall of Souls is an extremely foolish action." "Xiao Yan, what arrogant words! Is the Hall of Souls that great?" The white-haired man by the side strangely laughed when he heard Qinghai's words. Xiao Yan's group stepped through the empty air and paused in front of Qinghai. With a faint smile, Xiao Yan uttered, "Even if I don't do anything to you, the Hall of Souls will still not let me off. Therefore, your threat is useless against me." Xiao Yan's eyes turned to the two elders on Qinghai's sides after speaking until this point. He cupped his hands together and respectfully said, "I have troubled the both of you. Xiao Yan, it is merely young Miss's orders. There is no need to thank us." The black-clothed elder smiled and waved his hand. Xun'er grinned. Her bright eyes turned to the vicious-looking Qinghai and asked, "Xiao Yan, how do you plan to deal with this honorable elder from the Hall of Souls?" "Let's seal him. An honorable elder is not an ordinary protector. It is likely that even the Hall of Souls will feel some heartache if they lose him. He might be of some use when rescuing Teacher in the future." Xiao Yan mused for a moment and finally gave a suggestion. "You wish to seal the old me? In your dreams!" Qinghai's expression became ferocious when he heard Xiao Yan's words. Immediately, he let out a dense, cold laugh. His face suddenly flushed red, and the Dao Qi within his body forcefully attempted to free itself from the restraints of the black-clothed old duo as it launched through his body in a wild manner. "Be careful! He wants to self-destruct!" Xun'er expression changed when she saw Qinghai's appearance. She grabbed Xiao Yan and withdrew at a lightning-like speed. The faces of the black-clothed old man and white-haired old man sank. Both of their palms swiftly pressed against Qinghai's body. Numerous soft-grug sounds appeared, and a faint blood fog seeped from where their palms landed. "We cannot stop him. This is a self-destruct unique to the Hall of Souls." The two black-clothed elders frowned after failing to stop Qinghai's self-destruct despite their efforts. They helplessly shook their heads as their bodies moved. Subsequently, they quickly withdrew. Wisps of blood fog seeped out of Qinghai's skin after the two of them pulled back. His eyes also protruded out. Threads of blood flowed out from them. A wild, tyrannical energy was channeled around his body in an uncontrolled manner, causing the surrounding space to become distorted. Bang! An increasing amount of fresh blood appeared on his body. A moment later, a shocking explosion finally sounded in front of the eyes of a countless number of people. His flesh exploded, and the frightening explosive energy suddenly swept out like a hurricane across the sky. Under this frightening energy hurricane, even Xiao Yan's group could only lower their bodies. The might from the self-destruction of an elite Daozun was quite frightening. If they were to be pulled into it, their fates would be quite miserable. The raging hurricane-like energy continued for nearly 3 to 4 minutes before it gradually scattered. Only at this moment did the dark color that covered the sky disappear. Xiao Yan knit his brows and looked at the gradually scattering energy hurricane. He did not expect the old fellow to be this ruthless. This old fellow had self-destructed without even allowing Xiao Yan to say any more words. An elite Duzun will not die so easily. This kind of self-destruction will only destroy his physical body. If his soul escapes, the Hall of Souls will not find it difficult to create another body for him. Tianhuo Zunjie shook his head and spoke somewhat regretfully. He was the best example of this. Hence, he talked about this matter with the greatest authority. Xiao Yan softly sighed. All of these old foxes were not ordinary people. That is only if his soul can escape. Xun'er by the side smiled when Xiao Yan sighed. He turned his head upon hearing her words, only to see her autumn water eyes get covered by a golden color. A faint golden glow shot out of her eyes. Xun'er's golden pupils slowly swept across the sky. A moment later, they suddenly paused in an empty stretch of sky. Her pretty eyes were lifted, after which her body moved. The next time she appeared, she was already in the empty area she had been looking at. A golden-colored flame lingered on her hand as it was ruthlessly smashed into an empty area in front of her. The space rippled after this punch was thrown. It split and formed a palm-sized spatial crack. Xun'er's hand curled when the spatial line appeared. A suction force surged out. Xiao Yan's group immediately heard the frightened voice that was suddenly emitted from the crack line. After which, an illusionary spiritual body was forcefully pulled out of space itself. The spiritual body had just appeared when it threw a punch at Xun'er with a vicious expression. However, a sizzling sound erupted when his hand touched the golden-colored flame. A sharp, miserable cry resounded across the sky. Xun'er faintly smiled. She waved her hand and the gold-colored flame surged out, after which it wrapped around Ching Hai's spirit. Chi-chi! The golden-colored flame lingered around Ching Hai's body, following which, a thought flashed across Xun'er's heart, and the flame swiftly shrank. A spiritual body was quickly shrinking amid a sharp, miserable cry. A moment later, it transformed into a palm-sized golden-colored flame. Xun'er held this cluster of gold flame with her hand and rushed down, landing beside Xiao Yan. She tossed the flame to him and gently laughed. "Xiao Yan, I'll give him to you." Xiao Yan received the light cluster, and some surprise flashed across his eyes. By borrowing the fallen heart flame, he was able to detect the soul. However, he was unable to reach deep into the spatial crack. It was unexpected that Xun'er had managed to do this. Xiao Yan took out a jade bottle from his storage ring. He stuffed the light cluster into it and rubbed his finger over the mouth of the bottle. A circular, invisible flame appeared over it. After which, he returned the jade bottle to his storage ring. A Duzun-class soul might be of much use to him in the future. Fallen heart flame? Did First Elder Su Qian jump in anger because of you? Xun'er glanced at the invisible flame. Her eyes curled into a crescent shape as she covered her mouth and laughed. Xiao Yan helplessly shook his head. He bitterly laughed. "If you had not appeared this time around, it is likely that I would have found it difficult to escape this time around." "Hey, young miss received news about you soon after you stepped into the Central Plains region," after which she ignored the dispute within the clan and forcefully brought the two of us out of the Gu realm. "Only after running across half of the Central Plains did we arrive here. Fortunately, you are all right. Otherwise, young miss would have really exploded. Xiao Yan, honestly speaking, the old me has never seen the appearance of young miss when she is angry." The white-haired old man by the side curled his mouth and laughed. "Old Lin!" A faint, bright redness surfaced on Xun'er's face as she chided. "Xiao Yan, I will not say any more. I will not say any more." The white-haired old man hurriedly waved his hand when he heard her cry. Upon seeing Xun'er's little girl-like embarrassed appearance, he exchanged looks with the black-clothed elder beside him. Both of them quietly sighed in their hearts. Xun'er had always maintained a rippleless, old well-like emotion within the Gu realm. There was seldom anyone in the clan who could get her to reveal a smile. Her cold and indifferent manner, along with her special status, caused her to appear like a goddess, making it difficult for others to approach her. However, they had never expected the usual ice mountain-like young goddess to reveal little girl-like feelings in front of this fellow called Xiao Yan. This caused the both of them to feel pleased and helpless. With her position in the Gu clan, it was really quite difficult if Xiao Yan wanted to be together with her, even if he was the descendant of that person. However, forget about matters in the future. If the feelings Xun'er felt for Xiao Yan were to spread to the Gu realm, it would immediately stir a great wave, after which there would be a countless number of furious young male geniuses from the Gu clan who would step forward. Their aim would definitely be Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan also smiled when he saw the faint, bright redness on Xun'er's face. His heart felt a little touched. Although he and Xun'er were separated by a great distance, she had always been paying attention to him. These feelings had grown undoubtedly very deep. Xiao Yan felt a little joyful and proud when he thought of this. Xun'er's character was just like an unearthly pure lotus. Perhaps it was due to her bloodline, but ordinary things would have difficulty causing her emotions to fluctuate. Even when it came to the matters of the opposite sex, it would be extremely difficult to invade her heart. Fortunately, before this future goddess could completely master her emotion, Xiao Yan had placed an imprint that was difficult to remove in her heart. This imprint ultimately allowed Xiao Yan to successfully pull this perfect goddess that countless number of people desired into his embrace. If those many things had not occurred when they were still children, and if things were to develop normally, Xiao Yan and Xun'er would not have had much of a social connection. With Xun'er's subsequent growth, it was likely that no one would be able to walk into the heart of this matured goddess. However, there was no such thing as if. Currently, Xiao Yan had already planted a deep impression in Xun'er's heart. When it came to anyone or any matter related to Xiao Yan, her cold and indifferent appearance would automatically slip off. This point was also the thing that caused the two elders to sigh emotionally. Xiao Yan's hand rubbed his still somewhat giddy head. This was the sequelae after having used the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. After which, Xiao Yan turned his eyes and looked at the little fairy doctor, who was standing quietly behind him. He was just about to say something, when he discovered that the eyes of the two ladies collided together. Based on his instincts, he seemed to have sensed the surrounding temperature showing signs of rising. Cough. Xiao Yan softly coughed before facing Xun'er and introducing the little fairy doctor. This is the little fairy doctor. After saying those words, he looked at the little fairy doctor and introduced Xun'er. This is Xun'er. The little fairy doctor and Xun'er slightly smiled without any prior agreement after hearing Xiao Yan's introductions, after which they took a step forward. The two females extended their jade-like white hands and gently shook them in front of Xiao Yan's eyes. The smile that had surfaced on Xiao Yan's face after seeing the two shake hands suddenly stiffened because he discovered a gray-colored duchi flow and the golden-colored flame slowly rising from both of their hands. Two outstanding ladies had started an instinctive comparison in front of Xiao Yan during their first meeting.